Hi. In the Survivor series, we will have many conversations around two themes. The one is that of how do you deploy beyond enemy lines and how do you get the job done? What's the principles behind that? The other one is the style of leadership needed for that to happen. Let's call it mission command. And we need to understand that leadership as an alternative that is different from our current understanding. And in both these themes, both conversations, there's going to be principles behind that, stories, experiences, and that's what we're going to share in this series of conversations. For you to follow and enjoy, best to subscribe and like, and then you will stay in touch with the conversations as they happen. As you know, in the Beyond Enemy Lines conversations, there is also principles, and these principles was discovered in all our experiences doing real life survival on the land or next to the coastline or desert, doesn't matter. It normally is the same, and that is that somehow the brain has got this ability to keep us where we are, and we go into denial on the reality of, we had to survive, we have to do something different. And the brain says, no, it's too dangerous, it's too scary, it's too uncertain, just stay where you are. And myself and many others had to break out of that cycle as it was defined by our mental frames, our belief systems. And we all believe stuff. But what if we can break out of it? And for that we need experiences, and those experiences are defined by principles. So what we will discuss in the Beyond Enemy Lines conversations is a lot of those principles that's needed for us to advance in both business and in community. Again, it's best to subscribe and like the channel for you to benefit from it. Now, in the Survivor series Beyond Enemy Lines, there's a number of survival principles. And I'm going to start with one of those. And that is your ability to be prepared. In other words, there's always the possibility that things can go wrong and you will have to deal with it and you have to adapt. And that's really what this principle is all about. Now, the best, for me to maybe explain this is use a real life example. So many years ago, me and some of my friends, we took our vehicles, our families, our kids, and we went to a nature game reserve, a concession area in Botswana, Mankwe, and we stayed there, between the Mopanis. It was very wild camping. We had a pit toilet, and we taught the parents, but also the kids, some basic things about survival, how to make fire with sticks, and we had a good time. We were also between the elephants and the lions and the buffalo, and there's a lot of adventure happening, and everybody was enjoying this. So one day, I took them on a drive to the Kwai River in the hope to see some beautiful eagle sightings, and on the way back, there was this long straight road, thick sand, Mopani bush. I stopped, went off the road, and I asked them to, pull the vehicles in a circle, in a lager. We all get out on the inside, and I said to them, okay, there was an incident, a bit of a scenario here. One of the vehicles burned out, and another vehicle was damaged in the process. So we've got two vehicles down. We have to overnight. Now, at that stage, the parents, the adults were a little bit almost tensed up with this idea that we're going to have a sleepover. But the kids, they really want to do that. They were thinking, this is great. But then I did what I wanted to do, and I said to them, you realize this can happen in real life. And the question then is, but how prepared are we for this? I mean, here we are, a bunch of almost professional game driver people who should know how to buffer ourselves for things if it goes wrong. And the question then was, so how prepared are we? How much water do we have, between the vehicles? How much food beyond just the snacks in the car? Would we be able to sleep? Would we be able to build a shelter maybe if we need one? Would we have enough drinking water, food and all this stuff? Where's the medical bag? Is it here? Is it elsewhere? Because we might need that. And we soon realized that we were not fully prepared. Yes, some a little bit more than others, but none of us were, prepared to maybe stay out there, let's say for 2 days, and have then enough of everything so that we could survive. So that was the learning experience, that, whenever you do something, you should anticipate that it's a gut feeling thing, isn't it? You should anticipate that things can go wrong. It's the same in your business. I mean, if you ran a restaurant and you do early morning breakfast, you should anticipate that one of the key products you might run out of is that of bread, as an example. And then the question will be, but how do you buffer that? It's no different from the survival story in Botswana. I mean, we need water to drink, maybe a liter to 2 liters, per person, just drinking water. And so I can carry on. And we didn't have all of that. So it was really a very good time-out exercise for the team. The point is that if I plan a trip like that, let's stay with that example, then there's going to be a difference between me driving on my own, let's say me and my wife, and one vehicle, and then compared to that, maybe a convoy of 5-6 vehicles. In the 5-vehicle scenario, you don't have to, spend all the money and buy all the gadgets to be able to survive. You could most probably share and assist if we know what is amongst us. Therefore, the planning will be different. But when you're on your own, you have to figure out how will you be able to communicate to the outside world if things do go wrong, or how will you survive 2 days without water and without food. Where will your walking shoes be if you ever would consider to walk, which I would not recommend, but just to make that point. Where would the medical bag be? Will it be in the vehicle, and would you have sufficient medical equipment to go through basic procedures proper and be able to survive? Maybe somebody was injured. So all of this is the factors that you're going to consider and then prepare yourself. And you might never ever use that or need that, but it doesn't matter. It's a principle of survival to be always prepared that things can go wrong, and how will you then deal with it? Of course, there's a higher level planning that comes with that, and I would simply call that contingency planning. So there's the basic planning for just the sleepover if you want, but then there's contingency planning. And that is, what contingency plans will you put in place if there is a major rescue operation and people was injured and people might be dying, and how would you then rescue those out of that scenario, and what resources do you need for that? So this whole principle to be prepared is a very basic principle also for business. If you think of it, in any business there's the critical areas where you need flow, you need buffer capacity, you need protective capacity. In the absence of that, you're not going to make money. You're going to lose money on that day. But how would you protect that? And yes, you plan as if it will never happen, and then it happens. And then you need that critical buffer capacity to be able to sustain you for, let's say, 24 hours. And just pull it through, and by that time, you hope to recover from whatever it was that was holding you back. So a very powerful principle. It challenges your intuitive intelligence, that intelligence that speaks from the gut, and not to override that by ignorance or thinking that it will never happen. My vehicle will not break down, I will not get stuck. stuff happens. And when it happens, we need to be smart and we need to be prepared for that. And we need to be able to deal with that possibility. The amazing thing is when it comes to spiritual intelligence, which is the most transformative intelligence we have, it's the most powerful intelligence we have. That intelligence is indeed that ability to be able to deal with the possibility of something that's here, but it's not good, it's broken, and you can potentially go somewhere else. And you can fix it, you can change it. But this is exactly the point here. It's going to be tough to do that if you're not mentally and physically prepared for that. And if you don't have the right resources available to buffer that kind of scenario. I trust this principle will resonate with you. If you think about it and maybe smoke it a little bit in your pipe, it's a good thing to do.